Modern dating isn't just about swipes, texts, or perfect profiles. At its core, it's about connection. Real, honest, messy connection. And yet, the very thing that makes connection possible, vulnerability, is often the thing we're most afraid to show. We live in a time where curated images and highlight reels dominate how we present ourselves. We're told to play it cool, to not be too much, to wait for the other person to text first. We armor up with detachment, sarcasm, or endless rules meant to protect us from looking foolish or feeling exposed. But here's the truth. Real intimacy doesn't happen without risk. And dating without vulnerability is like trying to dance without music. You might go through the motions, but the magic is missing. Vulnerability in dating means showing up as your full self, not the self you think they'll like, but the self that laughs awkwardly, stumbles through stories, and asks honest questions like, what are you really afraid of? It's about saying, this matters to me, even if your voice shakes. It's choosing to be seen, not just liked. And yes, vulnerability is uncomfortable. It's uncertain. It can feel like walking a tightrope without a net. But the alternative is loneliness dressed up as independence. Because when we hide behind coolness or control, we rob ourselves of the kind of love that sees us, holds us, and says, I'm still here. Love isn't found in perfection, it's found in truth. And dating becomes powerful, not when we master the game, but when we drop the map. So if you're out there searching for something real, don't wait to be chosen. Show up. Be seen. Let them meet the real you. That's where love begins. Why vulnerability matters in modern dating is a question that touches the very heart of what it means to connect with another human being. In a world where casual swipes and highlight reels have become the norm, where vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness and emotional safety takes a backseat to image control, we've somehow started believing that love can grow in the absence of risk. But it can't. Vulnerability is not just a part of dating, it is the soul of it. It's what makes real connection possible. It's the bridge between strangers and soulmates. And it's the one thing we often avoid, even when we claim we want something real. In modern dating, many people approach relationships like negotiations, strategizing what to say, when to say it, how much to show, and when to disappear, just enough to seem cool. But this mindset, while protective, creates emotional distance. It may keep us from being hurt, but it also keeps us from being known. And to be known is what most people are really longing for. Vulnerability is the willingness to be seen, to be known, and to risk the possibility that we might not be liked or accepted for who we are. It's not about oversharing or rushing intimacy. It's about honesty. It's about saying, this is me. I'm not perfect, but I'm here. When people hide behind perfect profiles or avoid emotional depth, they're not protecting themselves. They're isolating them. Think about how many times a relationship falters, not because someone wasn't attractive enough or smart enough, but because no one ever said how they really felt. We ghost instead of saying, I'm not feeling a connection. We wait 3 days to reply because we don't want to seem too eager. We play roles rather than show up authentically. And all of this keeps love at arm's length. Vulnerability matters because love is not built on performance. It's built on presence. It's built when two people decide to stop pretending and let their guard down just enough to say, I'm scared too, but I want to try. We are all walking around with stories, insecurities, and fear, or our hope. When you share something real, a fear of vulnerability is one of the most courageous acts we can undertake, especially in a world that often rewards perfection, control, and emotional distance. Most of us were not taught how to be vulnerable. In fact, many of us grew up believing that vulnerability was something to avoid, that showing emotion was weak, that needing others was dangerous, and that letting people see the real us might lead to rejection. And so we learned to hide. We armored up. We got good at appearing strong, unfazed, and self-sufficient. But beneath all that armor is often a longing for connection, for intimacy, for someone to really see us. And that's where vulnerability comes in. Fear of vulnerability doesn't show up as a neon sign. It shows up quiet. It looks like ghosting someone when things start to feel real. It looks like avoiding eye contact during difficult conversations. It looks like laughing off compliments, deflecting deep questions, or keeping things light even when your heart wants to dive deep. It can even look like perfectionism, believing that if we just get everything right, we won't be judged and will be worthy of love. But what this fear of vulnerability, the first step is recognizing that fear away, but to acknowledge it, to breathe through, to remind yourself that fear by practicing presence, by staying with yourself, even when your instinct is to run, by learning to tolerate discomfort instead of reacting to it. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing or putting your heart in someone's hands recklessly. It's about being honest with yourself and with others. It's saying, "This is how I feel," even if your voice trembles. It's asking for what you need without apologizing. It's letting people in slowly but sincerely. Another way to move through fear starts to lose. We begin to realize that rejection, while painful, doesn't define us. That being misunderstood doesn't mean we're unlovable. That someone walking away isn't proof that we should have stayed silent. Real trust is earned in the small moments. The more you allow yourself to be seen and survive it, the more you build inner strength. Maybe that means telling a friend you're struggling instead of pretending everything's fine. Maybe it means expressing affection first without knowing how it will be received. Maybe it means admitting, "I'm afraid to get hurt, but I want to try." These moments may feel terrifying in the moment, but they build resilience. They show you that you don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just have to be honest. It's also important to be selective about who you share your vulnerability with. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your story. Vulnerability requires discernment. It's not about being open with everyone. It's about being open with the right people who respond with empathy, not judgment. People who listen without fixing. People who stay when it gets uncomfortable. When you find those people, practice being real with them. Let them see more than just your strengths. Let them see your doubts. Your fear transforms into confidence. You start to realize that the worst thing isn't being rejected. The worst thing is never giving yourself the chance to be fully known. Life becomes richer when you let yourself be seen. Relationships become deeper when you stop trying to manage how you're perceived. Love becomes possible when you choose to risk your heart, not because you're certain of the outcome, but because you're committed to living fully. Fear of vulnerability doesn't disappear overnight. It shows up every time we stand on the edge of something meaningful. But the goal isn't to get rid of the fears, let go of control, and show up as our true selves, without any guarantee of acceptance or success. But embracing vulnerability doesn't mean we have to dive into the deepest parts of ourselves all at once. It's a gradual process, a practice that can be learned, honed, and integrated into our daily lives. Here are some practical tips to help you start embracing vulnerability and cultivating more authentic, meaningful connection. The first step in embracing vulnerability is to understand that it doesn't mean weakness. In fact, vulnerability is an act of strength. It takes courage to show up as your true self, especially when you're unsure of how others will react. Instead of seeing vulnerability as a risk to your emotional well-being, try viewing it as a doorway to authenticity. It's about showing who you really are, flaws and all, and allowing others the opportunity to do the same. By doing this, you open up space for deeper, more honest connection. Vulnerability is the foundation of trust, and without trust, no meaningful relationship can grow. A simple yet powerful way to start embracing vulnerability is by being honest about your feelings. It's easy to hide behind humor, deflect with sarcasm, or pretend everything is fine when it's not. But when you allow yourself to express your true emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, You create space for others to do the same. This doesn't mean dumping all your emotions on someone or seeking validation in unhealthy ways. It means sharing how you feel in an authentic and measured way. For example, telling a friend, "I'm feeling really anxious about this situation," can be a small but significant step toward vulnerability. Over time, this openness becomes a muscle you can strengthen. Another key to embracing vulnerability is learning to be present in difficult moments. It's easy to withdraw or shut down when things get emotionally intense, but vulnerability requires us to stay engaged, even when it's uncomfortable. If you're in a conversation that's emotionally charged, resist the urge to avoid eye contact or change the subject. Instead, breathe deeply and stay connected to your emotions. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, even if it's discomfort, sadness, or fear. Challenge that voice by asking yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Often, the worst case scenario is not as terrible as we imagine. And even if we do face rejection or discomfort, we learn and grow from those experiences. By recognizing your inner critic and not letting it control your actions, you can begin to take the risk of being vulnerable without letting fear. When we connect authentically with others, we create spaces of safety, trust, and empathy where vulnerability can thrive. Connection has the power to heal in ways that we often underestimate. It's easy to believe that we can handle everything on our own, that we are somehow weaker if we need others. But connection offers us something that self-reliance alone cannot: support, empathy, and shared experience. In times of pain or hardship, the simple act of reaching out or having someone reach back can make all the difference. Connection allows us to share our burdens, lighten our hearts, and remind us that we don't have to carry the weight of the world by ourselves. But to truly experience the power of connection, we must be willing to give something of ourselves. Connection isn't a one-sided exchange. It requires vulnerability, openness, and a willingness to be present with others in both their light and their darkness. It's about meeting someone where they are without judgment and offering them your presence, your understanding, and your care. In turn, that same openness invites others to do the same. When we show up authentically, we invite the same in return. Connection also fosters growth. When we are connected with others, we are exposed to new perspectives, ideas, and ways of being. Our relationships challenge us to grow, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to become more compassionate, patient, and understanding. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or even a mentor, these relationships push us to evolve into better versions of ourselves. They allow us to see the world through different eyes, to learn from others' experiences, and to gain wisdom that we may not have otherwise encountered. In the digital age, where we are constantly surrounded by technology, it can be easy to mistake virtual interactions for real connection. We may scroll through social media, exchange texts, or post updates, but these interactions often lack the depth and authenticity that true connection requires. While technology has made it easier than ever to stay in touch with people, it has also created a barrier to meaningful connection. The absence of face-to-face interaction, body language, and emotional nuance can make it harder to truly understand one another. The power of connection lies in our ability to engage with others on a deeper level, beyond the screen, and to foster relationships that are based on trust, respect, and empathy. Connection is also a two-way street. To experience its full power, we must not only be willing to receive it, but also to give it. Many of us may find ourselves waiting for others to reach out, to make the first move, or to offer us what we need. But true connection comes when we take the initiative to be present for others, to show up in their lives with genuine care and attention. When we reach out, offer support, or simply listen with empathy, we create a ripple effect that encourages others to do the same. It's in these moments that we realize that connection isn't something we just get, it's something we create together. Perhaps one of the most profound aspects of connection is the sense of belonging it provides. In a world that often feels divided, where people are constantly searching for identity and purpose, connection offers a place of refuge. When we feel connected to others, we feel like we belong, like we are part of something greater than ourselves. This sense of belonging nurtures our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. It helps us feel grounded, supported, and capable of facing whatever life throws our way. The power of connection also teaches us the importance of empathy. In a time when it's easy to feel disconnected from the world around us, practicing empathy allows us to bridge the gaps between us and others. By taking the time to listen, understand, and feel with someone else, we create an environment where connection can flourish. Empathy allows us to see beyond differences, to connect with others on a human level, and to foster a culture of compassion and respect. Ultimately, the power of connection lies in its ability to bring us closer to ourselves and to each other. It reminds us that we are not isolated beings, but part of a vast network of humanity. Through authentic, vulnerable connections, we discover who we truly are, what we stand for, and how we can contribute to the world around us. Connection gives us the courage to be ourselves, to be heard, and to know that no matter what, we are not alone. It is through connection that we find the deepest fulfillment, and it is through connection that we are able to create lives of meaning, purpose, and love. As we come to the end of this journey into the power of vulnerability and connection, I hope you're feeling inspired to step into the fullness of who you are and embrace the beauty of authentic relationships. Remember, vulnerability is not something to fear. It is a gift that allows us to connect deeply, to grow, and to experience life in its most meaningful form. The connections we nurture with others are the ones that shape our lives, bring us joy, and give us the courage to face whatever challenges come our way. As you move forward, I encourage you to practice vulnerability in small ways each day. Let yourself be seen, let yourself be heard, and most importantly, let yourself connect. Know that by doing so, you're not only creating deeper bonds with others, but also cultivating a sense of belonging and understanding within yourself. The power of connection lies in our willingness to show up as our true selves, flaws and all. Thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect. I wish you the best of luck on your own journey toward embracing vulnerability and fostering meaningful connections in your life. May you find strength in your authenticity, and may the relationships you build bring you fulfillment, love, and support. Thank you, and good luck on your path.